Hey, okay. So, can everybody hear me clearly? That's the first thing. Hey, I'm here. Gotta run to the bank before it closes. Okay, no problem. I'll see you when you get back. Hi, Alice, Ocean's daughter, Sifa, Judy. How are you guys? Let's try this again. All right. Give me 1 minute and hey, hoping for answers, CY. Give me a second and I will. Hey, Llama. Hope you guys, okay. Hope you're all having a good day. Please, everybody, remember to hit that like on your way in. It's good to have lazy days every now and then. See why? Hey, mom first. Okay. I'm seeing some new faces in here, so that's good. I guess I shouldn't, not faces. Some new names, I should say. All right, let me drop this. Actually, before I do that, I just want to say I am sorry for earlier. Like, shit happens. I lost all sound. You guys could hear me, but I could not hear a freaking thing. I could not hear anybody that was on panel. I couldn't hear nothing. So I'm sorry, but I mean, I guess it does happen. But yeah, so Kiely's case is a case that just blew up on YouTube because there was no proof of anything. Everything was so screwed up. Nothing made sense. Everybody was trying to come up with what could have happened. So everybody was speculating based off of the information that they had at the time. And that's why we're still here today. Still here today trying to figure out what in the hell happened. Hey, United One, Mark Molina. So many channels have stopped, but I think it's because they're like, not that I don't care, but there are a lot of other kids that need attention. There are a lot of other cases that, that parents are looking for answers. And, so I think everybody is just, doing what they can do. And if new information popped up on Kiely's case, I feel like people would jump back on it. But that's the thing, right? Hey, Suzanne. Alice said, yes, when you're being told truth, it makes sense. When lies are being told, you feel confused. Absolutely. Hoping for answers. I say the same thing, but at the same time, I wonder if it's not only a conscience thing. Like, I wonder if it's really a fear thing. Because, I mean, what's the best motivator? What's the best way to get someone to do something? to put fear in them that if they don't do that, or if they don't do what they're told, then what's going to happen. I think that, that we got to look at that side of it too. So, but yeah, like that's me. I've never let go of Kiely's case or dropped it or forgot about it. But at the same time, there was other cases going on. There was other things that need to be talked about. And, so I feel like I'm just trying to help as much as I can with everything, not just Kiely's case. Oh, you were sleeping? I'm sorry. I called my local news directors on TV stations. They don't really care outside of local. I mean, it's kind of crazy because there's a lot of people that didn't even know about Kiely's case. Like I've talked to a few people and been like, the case of Kiely Rodni, and they're like, no. And I'm like, the car they pulled out, and people don't even know about it. So, that's another thing that I don't know, man. It's just not good. All right, so give me just 1 second, you guys. Oh, don't want to do that. Hit the wrong button. Another thing that, about Celicia Singh wasn't afraid, but maybe she should have been. Yeah, that's another thing too that came out during this case. And, if I could say one thing, the one thing I will say is that Kiely's case exposed a lot of shit from that area. So that's one thing I can say is that a lot of stuff was exposed through Kiely's case, through people digging and trying to find the truth and trying to find answers. So that's good. That is one positive that came out of it. But there's just so many of us that will never believe that it was an accident, just because of the way that everybody went about it. And I'm just one of those people. But I also am an open-minded person. I have no problem with other people that want to, say, listen, I disagree with you on this point. Here's what I think. I went to Virginia and was just calling about Truckee. And this friend of my daughter knew about all the cases from there. Of course, we got into talking Kiely the most because it's the most confusing and ridiculous, Is there anybody in chat that wants to come up and say their piece, say what they think, say what's on their mind about Kiely's case? Hold on, I gotta go over here to this thing. I'm here hoping to get back before you end so I can join. Yeah, no problem. I just bank is right down the road. Yeah, absolutely. If you're still on at 5:30ish waiting for a phone call. Okay. Oh, you're talking Alice, you're talking about Chloe was it Bogan? Is that her last name? Yeah, nothing ever was said on that either. That I have heard. As I think we started at Reno, then Boca, and then landed in
Oh,
What?
took my tablet.
Who did?
John, and he added it. Wait.
Andrew Dominic with a $35 super chat. Hey, CNY fam, much love. I would love to get in on this, but I got to listen in the background. I got forklift work. No problem. Thank you so much. That's awesome of you. Kiely, with her shining light, with her disappearance, helped uncover a lot of corruption. Yes, it absolutely did. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with everybody's over here. Yeah, she did. That's like I said, that's one thing that her case did was it exposed a lot of stuff going on, and not for nothing. But I also believe that her case helped to wake a few people up. So because I mean, we saw all this shit happen and it made people step back and go, wait a second. I can see all of this BS, I can see all of this lying happening. I can see all of this stuff going on. So I think that's what it did. Yeah, since Kiely, I have been learning so much more about the craziest shit ever. Yeah. Yep. 100% agree with you there. And there is so much crazy shit that goes on, But that's for another life. And before anything else, I want to say that I would love to do an open panel discussion on like real life shit that's going on in the world. So if you guys would be interested in that, please let me know in the comments below. I only believe Kiely had lunch with Grandpa that day. The rest for the stories, I'm not sure. They happened Kate Mags, and I don't think she was at a party. Yeah, I don't think there was a party at Prosser, period. Nothing supports that. Nothing supports that at all. Like there's just no proof of any of that. And like we had mentioned how many times before, that how are all of these young people going to have a party and nobody posts anything? It's just a made up story, I believe, to keep us looking in the wrong direction. And not for nothing, they were on the panel earlier. Jade Hunter was talking about when the laptop was found. And I thought it was so odd that when the grandfather and his wife came to collect the laptop, did you see when she was filming, like she was laughing, she was smiling. Like I just don't think that would be that would be an actual reaction when you're going to pick up evidence that the cops left behind from the death of your grandchild. I think that is one thing that made no sense to me. And I honestly still question whether or not that was her laptop. Those of you that know, I did an interview with somebody and they agree, they're all on board with check it. So that makes me suspicious. Let me just say that. Well, and tell me what kind of cops are going to flip the vehicle over and not check to see if anything fell out, right? First of all, a professional, a real case, they would have wrapped the vehicle and made sure nothing would have fallen out. Everything would have been done differently. But we're just, I mean, we're told that, hey, they flipped this car, this stuff fell out, the cops didn't want it, nobody went back for it. So hey, I decided to come and find it. That I don't know. I question the sloppiness of turning the truck over and letting everything spill out. Me too. That's what I'm saying. It just it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up here. And Captain Cover Up, when he slipped and he said that was, I believe that was an unintentional, he legit screwed up there because they are covering up something bigger, like not covering up something bigger, but the people that they're protecting, they had to cover shit up. Like they couldn't, you guys know what I'm trying to say here. I might not be explaining it the best, but I'm trying to explain it the way that my mind is working on it, Exactly. To them, it was never a real case. Ever. It was never investigated as anything other than an accident. And me and Chad, we were just downstairs talking about the autopsy. And he's like, babe, he's like, listen, he's like, I just watched a medical examiner. I forgot where he said he saw her, but he was just watching a medical examiner, and they said that it's really a very common thing for them to screw up on the autopsies. And I'm like, I feel like that's not true, because I feel like that's your one job. He's like, they say the tattoos in the wrong places, or, because they're looking at the right, and, they say it's on the left. Like, that's a common thing, according to this woman. And that just doesn't seem right to me, because your one job is determine how somebody died and whether or not there was a crime involved in that death. And it's very common for you to make mistakes. That to me just sounds like you're in the wrong line of work. I'll never understand. At the very least, Ellie should have taken pics and or video of the entire scene underwater before pulling out car so recklessly. I agree. And what's really freaking bizarre to me? And this is not on Nick. I'm not saying that, but it's insane to me that people were down there. I just wish that there's somebody that was like, yes, I saw a body in the back, or I saw her in the back of the car, or I saw somebody that wasn't her in the back. You know what I'm saying? But there's no definitive anything. Nick said he saw a shoe and he saw a leg. Like, that's not enough to go on when everything else is so off and confusing. That's all I'm saying. That's my one thing. They were all mad when AWP went to Prosser and found the car. They didn't want anyone to find her, but God put us all in their way. See, I think when they got the $25,000 anonymous donation, oh shit, hold on. And the cops, at the same time, the cops pulled out and said they were scaling back on the search. I think at that time, like, that was it. It was going to go quiet. We were never going to hear anything else. And then AWP decided to show up there. And that screwed everything up. So they had to come up with a plan of a story to give the people. They had to put on a show. Like, I honestly believe that that's what everybody did. I believe that's why Sammy did the interviews that she did. I believe that's why she acted the way that she did. Now, again, that's just my opinion, but nothing else makes any sense. Like, it just doesn't add up. And something should have added up already at this point. I mean, look how many people have been digging into this case and nobody has come up with solid proof of anything. That is bizarre. Not to mention the last known photo of her was total bogus. It was total bogus. And what reason? And I always said from the beginning, there had to have been a reason that they would fake that last known photo. And the only reason would be is she had gone missing before the story that they told us, right? Because why else wouldn't they have just gotten a photo of her and released it? Hi guys, been following this case from Australia. Entire case seems like a cover up. I just wish AWP would bring out the footage they had if things went the way they thought. I know. I kind of just wish that everybody that's not, like, obviously the cops are not going to do this, but just release everything you have, just get all the information out there, because all we can do is go off of what we have. And a lot of us cannot just walk away. Yeah, and why not show us the last image of her in the Odd Future hoodie at the party they claim to have? Right. Why not release to us a picture or a video? Actually, fuck, not a picture. Release to us a video of her at the party. That's give us one. Do you really have one? If you do, release it. That would stop a lot of speculation right there. Because then we could go, okay, we were wrong. There was a party and look, there she is. But we can't even do that because we got nothing. They've released nothing. All right, let's see. There is a lot that lines up as well, like Icky Mel. Oh, like Icky Mel and Zanny and American Dream Chaser. Him and Sammy said Kiely was the American Dream. Hint, hint. Image of her in that gas station was bogus. Oh, damn. Thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. Thank you. They focused hard on that gold chain though. They did. Yeah, it was about the necklace. Okay. They were looking for the necklace. So it's again. Then they must have had reason to believe that she didn't have that on. Just like one of my biggest things was the freaking keychain. Okay. You got people at the search party. Hey, look out for this keychain. It's a black and purple Zoomies keychain. Well, she's missing. How in the hell do you know that she doesn't have her keychain? And don't, and somebody was like, well, they could just be, they could just be saying, keep an eye out. If you see it, this is what her keychain looks like. Well, you wouldn't be looking for a keychain if you thought she drove her damn self in the lake. You would think her keychain were on her keys in her car. So I just can't buy it. That's all. What if it's all a psyop to see all who is spreading disinformation? Guys, I tell ya. And then said if they could find anything with the necklace, it could take the investigation into another direction. What does that mean? Exactly. This is why I can't let this go. All the in your face lies. And, I think that's a lot of us. I think that's a lot of our problem. All the images of Kiely are altered. Turn them to the side and even upside down and look at them. They have all been photoshopped and inlaid with other images, faces and stuff. It's weird. Who is doing this? Somebody that wants us digging in the wrong place. Somebody that wants us stuck going left when we should be freaking looking right. You know, I think that is the only thing that makes any sense. It's to keep us all busy digging in the wrong opposite directions so we don't get close to finding out the real truth of what happened. Every bit of it was micromanaged, and we met so many random characters that weren't random at all. It probably was someone else's keychain. That could be. We still have way too many questions to let it go. The lies is what raised eyebrows and put the community in the spotlight. You know who I would love to talk to for myself is Nick, the AAA driver. Like, I just want to have a conversation with him. You know, I just want to talk to people. I would love to talk to, for real talk to. Please read. Please read what? Did I miss something? I don't see anything that I missed, so I'm not sure. Okay. Could have been somebody else's keychain, like Sam's keychain. Could have been. But I just want to talk to somebody that was there. Somebody that was there. And that's it. It is something you were discussing about Bee Grove, but it's close. Okay. Do you want to what's really sad is that Ellie could put so much of the speculation to rest if they would just come out and explain to us how this was an accident. Yeah. And they refused to do that. Ocean's Daughter, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you for keeping Kiely's case alive. I always listen, but seldom chat. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I really do. Or base the autopsy on medical facts, not police investigation. Yeah. It's the craziest thing, and that again, though, that I feel like that as we're sitting here right now talking about all this shit that don't make sense, my brain is screaming at me going, there is a reason that none of this makes sense. There is something huge or some people very important that are making sure that nothing makes sense to keep us all distracted and digging in opposite directions. Like I said, I hate to say it, but all the Photoshop pictures, etc., share several similarities between this case and what goes on with Britney Spears. All the craziness. What? I don't know what goes on with her anymore. She's lost her marbles, man. For real. I don't know what happened to her. Well, I know what happened, but But think about that. Why put out a fake photoshopped last known picture? Why? Why couldn't they have taken a legit picture of her at a store, right? And put that picture out? But everything that they put out, they knew that we would latch onto it and we would be trying to figure it out because it didn't make sense. So keeping us on that path to not finding the truth and just keeping us, you know, digging and digging in the wrong direction. That's the only reason I can think that any of this bullshit was done. I've always thought they put car in water the day they pulled everyone off search and all went out and put focus on concert for Kiely. And why the K in the concert? I know. I know. And they made it, that dumb broad stood up there like, oh, we hope that in playing this music, like Kiely ran away. Like, we hope that in playing this music, Kiely will hear it and it will draw her home. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my. Oh, thank you, Ocean's daughter. I appreciate that. The K is for magic. And that stupid oh, I know, that stupid fire cam video. Jeez. Again, another big distraction. And look what it did, though. It literally made half of the people talking about her drop it like a rock. Because they were like, yep, that's enough proof for me, accident. And then us over here, we're going, that shit don't make any sense. So here we go digging, trying to prove that they're wrong. You know, they kept us digging and digging and digging for things. But none of it led us anywhere. None of it led us to the truth. And that's why I'm saying it would make sense if this was all a huge distraction to try to distract us, because they're getting us to look left and we should be looking right. And nobody's doing that because everybody's looking left, digging in their own ways, and then arguing back and forth about it. Aleister Crowley would change C's to K, and he claimed for dumb shit behind it. Yeah, drop scary sheep. It's just crazy. Oh my God, I didn't drop it. I thought I dropped it already. I'm sorry, guys. Jeez. Yeah, for sure. For sure, Daisy. I was wondering why nobody had popped up on screen yet. I'm like, duh, you didn't drop the chat, you bonehead. Transparency wasn't maintained properly between Ellie and the public. Transparency is what keeps the trust of the people. Yeah. I have a 19-year-old. I have so many pics, recent pics on my phone at any moment. Why didn't we see any receipt pics from mom, dad, friends, etc.? All pics of KR didn't seem very recent. I know. And all this stuff too. You know, I think about these fiddling videos. I think about her as a young child being the entertainment, you know. We got to put Kiely out there. We got to get her to come down and entertain the guests. That's why this does not seem that far-fetched to me, because she was doing it at the Lost Trail Lodge. She was talented. They were like, hey, you're going to be the entertainment. And she just grew up doing that. So, you know, it was almost like she was groomed for a, you know, like I was talking about yesterday. Yeah, if she, I mean, come on, guys, it's not rocket science. If she drove herself in the lake, she would have had her keychain on her keys. You know, and that's another thing that I wish that people that were able to go down there and see, I wish people would have looked a little harder. That's all. Just take a little extra few minutes to really look inside that vehicle. You know, if 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4, then something is wrong. If you can't get to the answer, something's wrong. Did you guys? I dropped the link. Did anybody get it? Nobody knows where the keychain was, Margot. They never found it. But when people went up to search for her, and they had the search parties going on, it was written on the board. Keep an eye if you find Kiely's keychain. It's a purple and black Zoomies keychain. Please call this phone number. And that's another thing. We don't even know. We don't even know if the keys were in the ignition. We never heard another word about it. But that was a big thing for me, because I'm like, wait, these people that showed up to search for her, were they not asking questions like, excuse me, how do we not know? Or how do we know she doesn't have her keychain in her car? Like, why are we just assuming that she doesn't have her keychain? Like, I think it was to cause all of us to speculate and to do this. Just like the picture that was released of her sleeping. Just like the other picture that Jay put out. Why? What would the reason be except to cause people to go, wait a minute, what the F is happening here? Little late, but I'm here to investigate and get this done. I don't know what my friends' keychains look like. I wish the people at the time asked. Oh, hold on. I wish the people at the time asked that too. I wish they asked a lot of questions. Okay, sugar. Hey, guys.
Hey, hey.
Hey,
Sorry about that. I let you in, then I'm just rumbling away.
You're good. You have a busy chat. Good chat, though.
hey, Megs.
I wanted to touch up on. So what?
Sorry.
So your other video that you did, that going off of that, if that's a possibility, I go back to thinking of certain screenshots that I saw, not just from like random people talking about the case, but like people like JW. Where he says something to the effect of, this is no longer funny. Just take the money, just take the Hellcat. Like, we just want her home. And then, like, when he did his interview, it's almost like he was speaking to someone, like he was
Right.
like looking at the camera and he was just like, I just need to know that she's okay and that she's safe. And I don't know, certain things just made me think that it's like they had an idea or was told, or made to believe that she had really been abducted. And that
Right.
theory was pushed, from the beginning. So I just have to, and like you said, they could be oblivious to what you talked about in your other video.
Right. Yep.
So
that could totally be. Like I said, that it's just it's so frustrating that you have all of this and just nothing adds up to anything,
right.
And there has to be a reason for that. And I remember, if you guys remember, it wasn't that long ago that like you were looking and you couldn't find certain things that we found in the beginning.
Right.
They were being removed
Quick.
And what would the purpose of that be except to hide something? That's just my thing.
And then it's like the little things, like you mentioned, like the keychain, the jewelry, the hoodies. It's like it was always about like these material things, and not so much, not saying they weren't looking for her, but it was just a lot of focus on all these other little things that make me feel that that was also kind of distraction as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
The only way you would know what's on someone else's keychain is maybe if you have it to them as a gift, or saw them add it to the keychain recently.
Right.
Like, do like that's a good point, because like I don't know what's on. I know a lot of people, and I don't know what's on their keychains.
Yeah, neither do I.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
so there's just a lot of things that, and the only thing I can think of is that there is a reason why we have not come up with anything, because we're all looking in the wrong direction.
Right. And if we could focus on what we think, what we feel might be what you're saying, we could, it could lead to a lot.
Oh yeah, for
So I
sure.
think it's important to definitely go back and look at all of the Lost Trail Lodge pictures you mentioned earlier. Like we need to do some digging into that area.
But also do it like respectfully,
Yeah,
don't
not
harass
online.
anyone.
Yeah, not online. Offline, and you do your own
Right.
stuff, and you don't
Yeah.
contact people. Yeah, there's a way. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I agree with you on that.
Hmm.
And that's kind of something that you want to do offline.
Hmm.
That's kind of something, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just, I don't know.
That's what we've all been saying
I'm
throughout this
just so
whole
sick
case.
of the nothing adding up.
Yeah, nothing makes sense. Oh, hey, Vapor.
If you want to try to understand, you need to take everything you know and go back to the start. Look at everything in chronological order with 2 months worth of knowledge. That's where you start.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a lot of that, Vapor. That's what we have been going back to, is the very, very first few days, even. Like, yeah, we went back.
Mm-hmm. And weeding out like the fact versus fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for you guys that are just coming in, for anybody that is interested, I'm not going to, like, I don't want any drama or any bullshit, but if you want to come up and speak what you think is going on, anything that you want to say, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again. Okay, there we go. But why would they be looking for her keychain if she supposedly drove herself into Prosser? Wouldn't keychain
Right.
be with the keys? That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Oh, Judy in here? Does she want to come back up? Don't be so quiet on me, guys.
Sorry.
Sorry. Try not to. It's just so much. It's so many questions that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want answers. And like, when Sifa was saying, like, and we said earlier, if it's an accident, prove it. But then it's like it has to make everything make sense. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
tell us that, it was just, I don't know. I don't think at this point, even if they showed us exactly how they're wanting us to see it, like with everything else that is in play, like it would have to answer a whole lot of questions to make us believe accident.
Yeah. And that's what kind of sucks is like this could all be, well, not all of it, but a lot of it could have been avoided if they had just come out after the
Mhm.
autopsy and just explained.
Right.
exactly why it's an accident. But they went silent instead, and that looks like you have something to hide if you do that.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
like, why not?
Exactly.
Sorry, Sienna, why? And why not debunk or prove Nick G's story? You know what I mean? Like, if it's true, if it's not, or what went down, if it was a different couple, like, why not at least come forward and explain that whole situation? That it instead it's just been crickets.
Right. Right. I mean, there's so many things, and it's when they released that autopsy and we got that article that said, okay, it's been it's been ruled an accidental drowning, and that was it. And then the autopsy came out, and we were all going, what the fuck? What are we looking at here? Right? Because
Right.
everything we were told Kiely did not match that autopsy.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, and then for them not to come out and say anything, that's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing in my mind that would make sense of that right there in itself is that this was pushed to us for a reason, so we don't even get close to the actual truth. So it keeps us looking elsewhere. It keeps us digging into this,
Yeah.
I mean, we all went through everybody's freaking Instagrams. We were looking for
Yes.
anything that we could find. Every time a
Yes.
picture came out, every time something came out, a statement, a picture, whatever, we were all like freaking, heading down that road.
Yep. And then to me, when the autopsy came out and when you went over it thoroughly, it's almost like it was just like a slap in the face. Like they just threw it out there,
Mm-hmm.
but then nothing made sense on it. So I was like, what was the point of this? And like you said, that's to make us ask more questions. What are they taking our focus off of? Because then it was
Right.
talk of the
Exactly.
autopsy for
Exactly.
weeks. Yep.
Yep. Yep. This is how I found the CNY channel, because the whole case made zero sense to me. So I had to find someone who saw through the BS too. I mean, when I picked up Kiely, like me and Chad were watching it, on like TV, on the news and shit. It would come up. And then it was after I saw Sammy's statement and stuff that I was like, wait a second, like what is going on? So I started paying attention more and more and more. And then I'm like, okay, like, does anybody else see how crazy this sounds? Like,
Yeah.
what is actually going on here?
So Vapor was asking how long.
Okay,
are you gonna be
Sugar.
on? I'm sorry. Vapor was asking how long were you gonna be on?
I don't know. I'll be on a while.
Okay, because he needs about 10 minutes to get into his computer room, but he has really awesome insight into this case.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Okay.
I was about to say something.
All right. Let me add Sugar up here.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Sugar.
Hold on, I got a phone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
I'm just coming up to say hi and give my quick opinion, and then I'm dropping down and leaving it to everybody else. I told Christy my opinion. I told Christy my opinion yesterday. First of all, nothing adds up with her being in the back of that car. Nothing from the autopsy. I do not believe for 1 second that it was her. As far as the picture that Daisy and Sippa showed a couple weeks ago with her drinking that cup at a weird angle, she was posed and somebody else was holding that cup. I don't think she was unalived in that picture. I think she was just highly drugged. And from there, I think she was taken and not in Cali anymore. Which leads me to believe she could either still be alive somewhere, or with all the attention that it's gotten, they got rid of her.
Yeah, and that could totally be. I mean, that's the thing, right?
That T word, and she was taken out of California.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's it very well could be, and that again would be another route that they would want to. Okay, we got to protect this. We can't let this get out. So let's keep everybody looking somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think the party was just a cover up for them to hide it. I don't believe that there ever was that big of a party for them to have that anything happened there. I think that was, oh shit, we're in trouble. We got to cover this up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. I'm with you on that.
Hi, Sugar and Spice, by the way.
Yep,
Nice
I'm
to
with
meet
ya.
you.
Hi, Daisy. Nice to meet you. And Skip, I'll never talk to you either.
Right.
Sorry,
You
I'll
think
let you
we would
guys.
have by now?
You would think, but I will
Right?
let you guys get back to it. I am eyeballs deep in baking cupcakes for the baby tomorrow, and
Oh,
Fun.
I have frosting everywhere. So,
well, thanks for coming on.
well, thank you for having me up. I'll come up again at another time when I'm not deep in frosting.
Okay, sounds
But
good.
yeah, I'll be listening though.
All right, thank you, Sugar.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Yeah, so you were saying like whenever what brought you to her case, I just remember August 7th or 8th, August 8th, when her flyer first came across Twitter. For me, it was going to Instagram, TikTok, anywhere I could and searching for pictures and couldn't find one. That was my first red flag. Like, and that's when I was working with Sleuthy Goosey and all them, and we were just like, why can't we find one picture from this party? This is odd. And then when Sammy did her interview, that's just when, I mean, everything was questioned, because it was so contradictory.
Yes. Hello, welcome up to the panel.
Hello, hello. I just wanted to state my opinion on the accident theory.
Okay.
I'm probably wrong, but just upon looking at like the cam footage, it looks to be like there's 2 or 3 different cars before headlights disappear in the water. But what it looks like is possibly late at night, rushing home. She's lost on the road and stops and talks to one of the cars to get directions and takes the wrong direction and is driving down through, and you can't see the water in pitch black. So as she's driving and the water is lower than the hilltop of the side of the shore there, the car actually, let's say 25 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour, the nose of the car would actually, it would kind of like do like a front flip, and the hood would touch the water and then the windshield and then the roof. And that would explain, if she doesn't wear a seatbelt, or if she wasn't wearing a seatbelt, that the forces of the car doing the front flip would actually push her to the roof and slide her along the top of the roof to the back.
Oh, okay. Yep, I got what you're saying.
So that's just my opinion. Looking at the cam footage and stuff, that's where I'm at. I mean, I don't see anything other than there's no factual basis to pinpoint anybody at the moment.
Right. No, there isn't. And so is that, do you think that that's what happened? Do you think that, this was just an accident and, we're just all.
Well, the more and more I look at it, we've been doing this for a year, right? And yeah, we got a lot of information from a lot of different things, but none of it ties together. And if you look at the cam footage and you look at it just as an innocent situation, she could have been just confused on where she was, and she's seen a car, stopped, and it stopped for 2 or 3 minutes. You're chit chatting, hey, I'm actually lost. I'm okay, yeah, go up here, take a left, yada yada yada. And it could have been that innocent.
I do actually kind of have a question based on that theory. I know I didn't introduce myself yet, but Wisco Madman, obviously. But so with it being innocent, the one thing that really sticks out to me, and there's a lot of questions that I have in general, But the one thing that would stick out to me as far as it just simply being innocent, then why is the autopsy more or less based on police investigation and not medical fact?
Well, because the
The
police
accidental
were the
drowning is
one doing
based
the
off the
investigation.
statement of the detective.
Correct.
Right, but you don't determine drowning based on an investigation. You determine drowning based on marks around the neck, marks in the lungs,
Right.
that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm not
Correct.
medically
And I
trained, but
also,
you know what I mean.
yes, sir. I also am, a lot of it that really had me looking really deep was the fact of her lung weight. I didn't like the lung weight at all, but
The lung weight's dry versus wet. I did verify that with Dr. Amy Salerno, Draw Latino. Sifa knows her.
okay. So 100 grams is a good size.
The question is, then it gets into stuff that complicates the shit out of my brain. But
I get that.
yeah,
I
basically
know, it
the
hurts.
lungs aren't waterlogged. And I don't know, Sifa, maybe you know some more on that, because I know you have a lot of all kinds of data in your head. But dude, I don't know how to explain dry versus wet, but I do know that the lighter would fit with the dry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't think she drowned, to be honest.
Well, it's hard because with this story that they're pushing, they want us to believe that she was in the car for 2 weeks. And then when they did the autopsy 2 days later, her lungs, were 100 grams, which is way, way, way less than what it should have been.
She either didn't drown or it's not her.
Right.
Well, just I do have one more question. I'll let y'all go.
Yep.
So if let's say your body was, I don't really know what all happens at the end of that time. But I would say, like, if your lungs basically are collapsed, I mean, wouldn't they stick to each other? And wouldn't that cause like weight difference? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I kind of get what you're theorizing from a non-medical perspective, obviously, because I'm also not medical trained, but
correct.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
We need to get a doctor up in here.
Yeah, I wish I knew what happened to Draw. She went silent.
Yeah, but like I said, I
any videos from her.
Just upon looking at the cam footage, it kind of looked like, I mean, honestly, somebody stopping and asking for directions. Really, it did. I mean, the length of time it took, and then I don't know.
Yeah. And the end over end, where does that theory come from? Because I've heard that more recently.
Okay, so if let's say
community.
Let's say you're standing on a ladder that's 10 foot, okay, and you're at the top of that ladder, and at the bottom of the ladder is water, right? Well, if you have a plane of existence at 10 foot, right, and you have a motion, and you have a weight of motion traveling longitudinal at that 10 foot, and then you cut the 10 foot off out from under it, well, the weight is going to transfer to the ground. Well, the weight of the engine is roughly 700 to 1,200 pounds, depending on the vehicle, and it starts to deviate down. So what happens is the nose goes forward, and then as soon as the nose touches the water, okay, that's friction. And then the friction holds the front of the nose over as the back end is still up in the air, folding forward in front of it, causing like a front flip effect.
So are you assuming a shit ton of forward motion?
No, just once. No, I'm assuming probably 25, maybe 25 mile an hour would be sufficient enough to flip a car one time onto the roof.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all it would take.
What does it take for airbags to be deployed in the car? Because if the car was going, down that knoll and hit the water, would it have caused, and then flipped, like you're saying, wouldn't it have caused the airbags to deploy?
There are airbag sensors in front and rear bumpers of vehicles. They're also in the doors. If the sensor did not strike the water first, or that maybe the hood kind of grazed the water and then the roof or the windshield and the roof, the airbags probably would not have deployed because it didn't take damage at the actual sensor.
So I'm curious, do you have mechanical knowledge? And I'm not being critical. I'm being honest.
To a sense, I would say.
Okay. The reason why I ask is because I don't. I mean, I'm a car guy, but I don't. And in my experience, just in one front end collision that I can pull from, well, actually two, but the higher speed of the two, somewhere around 45 miles an hour, and my Stratus didn't deploy airbags at all.
Yeah, and I mean, but a Stratus, that's actually an older vehicle as well, and Kylie's was a 13.
Yeah. 05, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And then I
it's
have
kind of a hidden. I mean, it's kind of a hit and miss.
2012 BMW that was over 25 miles an hour, and that didn't deploy.
Well, I mean, how many accidents do you see daily throughout? If you're just driving through town, people rear end people that airbags don't deploy.
Mm-hmm. Happens to be something
It happens
that
all the time.
I work around. So yeah, I see accidents almost every day.
Somebody
it happens.
Somebody in chat said airbags in a CRV go off at 10 to 12 miles per hour.
Yeah,
I don't
there's
know,
no scientific
that's
fact.
what it
That's my
says.
whole point. They randomly deploy.
Gotcha.
They're supposed to deploy scientifically, but they randomly deploy.
Correct. Well, randomly, I wouldn't say
I don't
randomly.
know.
They're not.
Wow, you get what I mean. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is there's what's supposed to happen. Let's reference a guy named Jeff on YouTube. There's a certain thing that they're supposed to do, and then there's what they do.
Yeah. No, I get that, but the sensor actually has to lose, or it has a trigger to actually deploy the airbag. So if the sensor's not triggered, the airbags will never go off.
Is it kind of like what's coming to my mind is the sprinkler systems in a lot of buildings, how they have that little mercury glass tube that's supposed to pop or some shit from heat? Is there kind of a correlation to how this sensor is, like maybe a glass break or something like that?
I believe within the sensor, there's something kind of like a mercury, it's called a mercury switch. And what it does is when that switch is traveled or hit, or it takes a jolt, the mercury or inside the trigger of the switch, actually it sends a ground and it sends it to the ECM, and then the ECM deploys the airbags, or actually it'd be the body control model.
Yeah.
And then it would deploy the airbags.
My thing is, though, with this being an accident, I mean, everybody said that she rode four-wheelers there all the time. She was so familiar with driving in that area. Like, I mean, would she have made that mistake? I just can't.
Well, let's give it twofold. Let's just say that the people that were there with her were correct in saying that she was drinking all night. Okay, it's pitch black in the middle of the freaking night. You know what I mean? I mean, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I mean, far as the toxicology, I don't like how they have the, far as the alcohol intake and all that stuff, but because I don't know. I'm not a I'm not a coroner, so I don't look at this stuff.
I've heard so much on the toxicology that at this point, the toxicology and the autopsy for me and my theories are basically irrelevant,
null and void.
Mm-hmm.
So
because the toxicology, as far as the ethanol goes, that could be decomposition. It could be a couple drinks. It could be whatever the hell. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and also it stated that she had to ask for an extension to get home, right? So what if she asks for that extension? She's hanging out and having a good time, and then all of a sudden she notices she's 5 minutes late from when she planned on leaving. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, now she's in a rush. I mean, it's I'm just saying that's my theory.
Toxicology, in my theory, like if she wasn't in the water right away or whatever, that's going to affect your toxicology. If she was still alive, we don't know anything.
Well, right. And I would say also that under the water, that water does preserve things. You know what I'm saying? To a degree. So that's.
It can, and this idea that the fish are going to eat her alive and all this kind of stuff, or eat a body in general alive,
Yeah,
or
it's kind of goofy.
bacteria, and it can go any number of ways.
Right.
I would have expected some sort of algae buildup on the car if it was in there for 2 weeks, but not like crazy buildup, but something.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's crazy that we're still, like sitting here all these months later, though, and we still don't have any proof of anything at all. You know what I'm saying? Like
I agree 100%.
That's crazy to me.
Yep. All right. Well, thank y'all. I got to head off. We'll see y'all.
Right.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
Appreciate you letting me pick your brain.
Oh, absolutely.
And sorry, CNY, I didn't mean to take over there. I was just curious on some of the things that he had said.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. No problem. No problem. I feel, I just feel like we were just pointed in the wrong direction and left. They just kept throwing things at us to get us to look another way, to get us to dig around here, but we always come up empty. Like not empty, like we found things out, but we don't have actual proof of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, we
meant.
have a bunch of theories and a bunch of different stuff, but yeah.
But like based on, research that we just haven't put out there, like it's like we do have some, solid connections and things like that, but it's to put it all together and present it in a way, you know what I mean? Like to back everything up. That's the problem. We do have factual information. We just can't tie it to anything, any of our theories.
Right. Okay. So you got a hold of her. So she may be coming in here. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be.
Yes, if I had emailed her, and then I
haven't been on a panel with her yet, so I haven't actually had a chance to talk to her.
Okay, she said she's waiting to join chat. I wonder if
I also haven't. I talked to her a little bit while she was in my chat, but I didn't get a chance to do a panel with her.
I just dropped the link again.
Okay.
So hopefully she can come in. I just, and not for nothing, but all we're after is the truth here. That's it. Like, I'm not out here to run my mouth about this person or freaking attack this person. Like, just looking for the truth. That's all. Yep. That's it. And it seems to be the one thing nobody can find.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible. Hold on one second. Daisy, thank you so much for the gifts, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
For the gift.
What gifts did I miss?
That's awesome.
There's like an option.
She gifted memberships.
Yeah, you can gift memberships.
Oh, gotcha.
And it randomly chooses people to,
Gotcha. Yeah, I set mine up, but I still don't understand how it works.
Okay, here she is. I'm gonna add her in.
Yay.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Hi.
How are you?
Hi. I know everybody, but I just want to apologize. Oops. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
okay,
you're good.
I was echoing because I think I was also on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. No, you are not going on this one.
Okay, so I want to apologize before we start because I literally just finished bathing my 2 filthy dogs. So I am filthy. So I have this is like you're seeing the real me except for my nighttime hair cap. So this is me, guys.
It's good to see you.
Draw unfiltered.
Raw unfiltered. Exactly. Okay, guys, it's good to see you. And I don't know. It's really weird because I know CNY family, and I was subscribed to you for at least a year, but it said I wasn't subscribed when I went to go on. So I've listened to you by the hour, honey.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no,
And yeah, I seem to have that problem where people keep getting unsubbed.
it's
So
weird.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you resubbing.
Okay. All right.
So
So
now that
tell me.
I have you, oh, go ahead.
No, I want to say hi to True Crime and Faith, hi to Sifa, and hi to Wisco Madman.
Good to
Hi,
see you.
Dra. Good
Hey,
to
Dra.
see you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm glad to have you on. This is the first time I've had you on, so thank you so much for being able to stop and do what you're doing.
Sure.
And I did want to ask you a couple of things about Kylie's autopsy.
Okay. Hopefully I can remember. Yeah.
So we were just actually talking about her lung weight and it weighing 100 grams as opposed to, you know, what it should be weighing. Now, if it was true, let's just say for, you know, for giggles that she was in the water for 2 weeks, and let's just say, like, so would her lungs have been like flattened and together, and that's why there was no weight?
No, I really think, guys, of course, I want to, you know, here's my disclaimer. I'm a practicing physician, but I am not a forensic, nor am I a pathologist, forensic pathologist, nor a pathologist. So I'm just giving you my medical perspective from having reviewed hundreds of autopsies through my 30 years, right, as a doctor, right? But I just want to make sure that you understand I'm giving you my perspective, that it's not forensic, right?
Yes, that's totally fine.
And I appreciate you saying that because, you know, so many people want to attack you for that kind of stuff. And I personally love having the medical expertise end of things, even if it's not necessarily that specified direction of medical expertise.
Right. Well, it is ironic that, you know, it seems like it's very binary. Either we want the forensic expert or you're not allowed to talk. I'm like, hello.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
a person.
hello, I still have a lot of training that you don't.
Yeah, and also I'm a part of the true crime community. So let's go back to, I haven't reviewed her autopsy in a while, but I can tell you that she did have moderate decomposition, slippage of the skin, and there was evidence that she had been deceased for a while. It is most unusual, in my opinion, that she would have had dry, in other words, not boggy lungs.
Mm-hmm.
If she were submerged for a long period, which we're not talking a long period like a year, we're talking, you know, relatively 10 to 14 days, she wasn't so decomposed that you would expect shrinkage of the lungs to 100 grams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
also with what I deem presumptive cause of death, drowning, because drowning really is sort of a presumptive cause of exclusion because we don't know of another cause. And she had none of the findings. If you want to say, wow, we really can hang our hat on drowning, and here are the 5, you know, well, we saw the constellations. In a constellation, here are the 5 stars, so to speak, of things that you do find in a drowning. She really had 0 of them, okay? Including that her lungs and the lung parenchyma, which is the parenchyma is the tissue that holds together the lungs, and the parenchyma was not boggy. It didn't have any of the stigmata, like we say, the physical stigmata of drowning. And there were many other factors that we see or can see in drowning, and she had 0 of them. And that is why when I first saw her autopsy and reviewed it, I really did get kind of pushback from the true crime community, mostly from retired law enforcement and whatnot, that I should not proffer my opinion because maybe we just certainly don't have all of the documentation. And my response is, I don't need all, because if it wasn't documented or I don't have the documentation, then I take what is available to me. And as law enforcement loves to use this term, in the totality of the situation, in the totality of the documents available for my review, I do not see a drowning. As I would say, it was I can't think of undetermined.
Okay,
Undetermined
gotcha.
is
Yep,
the correct term. So I'm sorry, Miss CNY family. I don't know if that. I know I've gone on and on, but does that helpful?
Is she live or are we watching something?
Yeah.
She's
Oh no,
live.
you're live.
I got a question for her.
Yeah. No.
And
Yes.
Mr. Vapor?
That does help me. So
Okay, I see
There would
Mr.
be
Vapor. I am
no-
live. Yes, I'm live.
so what explanation could there be for the lung weight? Because that's just one thing I can't,
You
but
can't
again, that's
And-
just another thing on top of the entire autopsy that makes no sense.
Can I add to that question as well? And maybe I'm just being redundant here, but the dry versus wet difference on lungs and stuff like that, could you specify on that as well?
Right. So I don't have all the documents. I could refer you to my
Right.
thing. I have them all on a
Okay.
a video that I did, right?
Yeah,
and I did
I got you.
with another channel. But okay, let's first go to. Do you
Yeah,
go by
CNY.
CNY or what do you go by?
Yeah, CNY is good.
Miss CNY. Okay, Miss CNY. I believe, having seen the way it was written, that the examiner used what I call a template. So, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you have thousands of patients, let's say, which they don't, but you have a template and then you say, Kiely Rodni is and a blank 10-year-old, I'm making this up, 10-year-old Hispanic girl. I mean, so you have a template that has blanks and then you fill in the patient's name. Get me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, with all the discrepancies that were in her, and we can go through that at some other time, with all the discrepancies on that autopsy, and I'll give you an example for one in a minute, I think he took a template and this is just my opinion, the 100 grams, he failed to change it to 1,000 grams or whatever, the correct. I think it was a cut and paste kind of document.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I say that because at one point in the document, it says that they did do a DNA. They sent for DNA. And on the very next page, it says no DNA was sent. So, it's so discrepant that it's like they forgot to put no DNA was sent, no DNA was sent, or DNA was sent and DNA was sent. There's just discrepancy like that makes me think they used a template and they failed to sort of edit it correctly.
Right.
Miss Salerno,
Excuse me?
I just had a question.
Hi, I don't know you, Mr. Vapor.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I love that statue. What is that? It almost looks like,
That's
looks like
Alien from
gargoyle.
AVP.
Sorry?
That's Alien from AVP, Alien versus Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have no idea what it is, but it reminds me of a griffin or a gargoyle.
Yeah. So Sifa knows Vapor, and we've spoken to Vapor.
Mhm.
He's good people.
Okay, good. So I didn't answer Wisco Madman's question vis-a-vis wet and what would it be, and I can go back to that in a minute. But Mr. Vapor,
Yes.
hi.
How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, I'm kind of cranky. Somebody woke me up about half hour ago, and but that's all right. But it's a good mood for me to be in if we're going to talk about the law enforcement in this case and all the BS that's gone on. I have a question though. Seems how Kiely's autopsy and I just had her name. What's the other girl's name?
Yeah, the
Trinity?
same girl. Yes. I just was looking at her picture.
Trinity.
Trinity Backus.
Backus. Yeah.
Yes. They were both, the autopsies were both done by the same cuckoo. And it seems from his background, he may have been placed into that county for these reasons because of his alleged.
You're talking Dr. Reber?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
But
what's your question? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
my question is, with both of them being 16, both of them being about the same build, height, weight, everything else, and the lung discrepancy weight, I understand somebody was talking about dry weight and wet weight, but the lung discrepancy is so huge that I'm just curious how you can take almost two exact body styles and come up with such a big difference.
Well,
Especially if one of them was allegedly underwater for 2 weeks and the other one was basically a fresh body. But
right.
I'm just curious.
Sure.
I mean, I've got a little bit of background in. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any of that stuff. I've just been around. My mom used to work she worked for the sheriff's department. I was brought in and watched plenty of autopsies, and I mean, I understand the process. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know all of the generalized weights per organs, what they should be. But I mean, hers is so low that somebody at one point said her lung weight was less than a child.
Right. That's true. Okay. So, first of all, can you remind me of what Trinity's combined lung weights?
Weren't they in the 300 or 400s? Oh, combined? I
have the autopsy up right now. So the right lung weighs 100 grams and the left lung weighs 110 grams.
Right. That was
Kylie. Okay, let me get Trinity.
For a grand total of 210, which is really like a 3-year-old or something. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, Sifa might be able to get that quicker than me.
Yeah, I can grab it. I did also put Kylie's in the back chat for you.
Oh. Okay. All right. So you're looking at Trinity, Sifa?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna run and get my dog. One of them is in a little pen and she's crying, so I'm gonna take her out. She's dry. Hold on one second, please.
Mm-hmm.
Keep looking.
Get down.
Yeah, they in that article that I had pulled up, comparing Kylie's lung weight and other organs to, like regular, like other people her age. It was just, there was no comparison. Like, exactly. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, part of it is, let's think about it. I mean, part of it is if let's say somebody were out. I'm not saying Kiely was out in the desert, but if somebody is out in the desert and they've been out there in the hot sun and they've decomposed, you're going to get you're shrinking and drying out of the organs, right? But
true.
I presented, and I'll shoot one of you guys the link. It was on John QQ about a year ago, I think. We spent a couple hours, I'm not kidding, man, going like granularly over Kylie's autopsy. And I put up different documents showing the difference even between freshwater and saltwater lung weights of somebody who's been in there 10 days or whatever, what you would expect. And there was a table that I had, and I'm doing this from memory now, that it's from a scholarly article looking at males, females, different age groups, and deaths from drowning in freshwater, like lake water, which she was in, versus saltwater, right? And I don't remember the exact differences of the weights, but I do recall that the combined weight of a female in her age group, and it doesn't matter, by the way, guys, if they're thin or thick or fat or obese, that does not matter. The organ weights are the organ weights in terms of the lungs, and I believe it was a combined weight of something like 2,000. I'm going to say 2,000 grams.
Yes, it was.
Or minus 600, something like that, guys. And that's having been under the water. So how do you get to 100 or 100 each? So combined 210. It's nonsensical to me. Is that helpful?
Oh no, it makes perfect sense.
I mean, but that result is nonsensical. But I guess is my statement sensical? Does it make sense?
Yes.
I mean, if we wanted to take a case that really that's not involved in this at all, but if you were to take the autopsy of JJ from the Vallow case, and he's a 7-year-old,
right?
And if you took his lung weights, I would guarantee you that they're still make Kylie's look minute.
And it's funny because I did do a review. Oh God, it's got to be almost 3 years ago now, before that, I believe those children were even found, guys. On Profiling Evil, I did a couple of kind of very granular autopsy reviews on both Charles Vallow with Mike and Chris at the time. And so I walked them through that one, and I also walked them through the Joseph Ryan. So that is a really interesting, those are interesting findings as well. I mean, just that whole thing. But I didn't, because I've never seen JJ. I did listen to the detective, and I did listen to Dr. Warren the other day testify about both. Dr. Warren is the forensic pathologist.
Yeah.
That did the autopsies both on JJ and Ty Lee, but he didn't really get specific. But I agree with you. I don't know if with a FOIA request we could get a hold of those. I don't know. But I would be curious to know. I agree, Mr. Vapor.
I mean, with all of the, well, since you're kind of in the field, basically, maybe you would know. Because I'm trying to put together my team, my lawyers, and my investigators and everything to get into this. And what do we need? Can a lawyer subpoena the autopsy?
Oh no, I think as far as the written autopsy.
No. I'm talking about everything that law enforcement has.
Oh, that I don't know.
Good luck.
Good luck, because I think I think they even withheld a lot of Kiely's information and just gave the bare minimum in terms of here's her autopsy, here's the coroner's report, blah blah, and that was all they released. I think they would withhold, especially photos. I think they would withhold, and I think that. So, what is your purpose?
My purpose is to do an independent investigation, and my lawyer, since he's in Nevada, says he can't do anything in California, but he is getting me a prosecuting attorney general from California.
Right.
And I mean, at some point, law enforcement can't just do as they please and not answer this.
I totally agree with you. I mean,
see, an AG would be able to do something for sure, but yeah, a normal lawyer is not going to be able to request all that stuff because they're going to tell you, yeah, you have nothing to do with this case, no information.
But correct, guys. I want to ask all you all, and especially Miss CNY. I know you were deep in the weeds on the Kiely case, and True Crime and Faith was. I didn't know the other folks, all you other folks before recently. There was a gentleman, I can't remember his name for the life of me, that was going to try to push this thing up to the California Attorney General's office, another true crimer. And I don't know if he ever got any traction, but haven't folks tried to push it up before and failed or not gained traction?
I think you're going to have to get outside the state of California.
As it is right now, the public is basically being treated like the child, and LE is basically being the parent saying, basically, because I said so, and that's the way it is.
Right. Well, I do think that in that area of Southern California, I mean, in the Truckee area,
that's
from what
northern, though.
Oh, excuse me. So sorry. Yes,
Northern California is a whack.
Yes. I misspoke. I'm sorry. Northern California, not Southern. Of course, I've never been to California, but I knew it was in Northern California. You've got the Democrat Party has a great foothold in there with John Podesta has a house there. You've got Silicon Valley. I'm not sure which of the, I don't know which one of the guys, CEOs of maybe, I don't even want to say the name because I don't even know. So let's just say no name, Silicon Valley bigwigs. They have an ability.
A lot of corruption. I'm saying there's just a lot of corruption in that area.
Corruption, and they have the ability because of like my brother always says, do re mi, money.
Mhm.
They
Well,
can
and
shut
Truckee
down.
Tahoe is the vacation spot for all the celebrities.
Exacto. So they can
Yep.
shut down us children, so to speak. And it's sad because we could be living in at least a republic, if not a democracy, but we have
Well,
no.
my other question, I have a condo in Tahoe, but it's on the Nevada side in Incline Village.
Okay.
The point is that if this case is what law enforcement says it is, why would these people even care? Why does their politics and their BS come into play at all? Unless they're
Maybe
hiding
because
something.
they got their fangs out and they're trying to protect their community from the overall public of the world.
Well, I think it's what Vapor just said, unless they're hiding something.
Well,
Like,
I
why-
think
I agree. I'm just playing devil's advocate, obviously. But
I think there's this is just, of course, speculation. So I don't want to, don't sue me. But I think there's a huge political issue around water rights in that region. You even saw it with a Dylan, I can't think of his last name right now. I think he was out of Utah / was it Nevada or Arizona? Remember Dylan Rounds? That whole
Yeah, Utah.
they uncovered some of the true crime people uncovered huge water rights disagreements. And I think if you look at the Kiely Rodni case, there are players, including, I believe, maybe her grandfather, as well as the ex-boyfriend of Kiely, the father of that ex-boyfriend, have their teeth, talk about fangs, teeth, sunk deeply in water rights and zoning and so then that's where you get into sort of the political / corporate game, right?
follow the money, honey.
Follow the money.
Well,
And then the question begs, what? So that's one sort of, you could say, conspiracy theory that they wanted to put the Kiely Rodni story to bed because they didn't want to have to then go to try and unearth a lot of stuff, corruption and whatnot that's going on. The other less conspiratorial option is that the law enforcement there growing up in northern California, and that whole a subculture that's very laissez-faire parenting, very like la 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 kind of thing. They have turned those same people that grew up in Truckee are now the new generation of law enforcement, turn their head to underage drinking, drug dealing, the whole this whole subculture of drinking and drugging underage. They've turned their head. They didn't ever go out to that area, and maybe there's corruption and at least illegality amongst law enforcement that they just simply wash their hands of illegal activity that has been going on for decades, probably in that county.
Right. And I wanted to ask you this. So there's a lot of people out there that have the theory that she was taken, put into a freezer, and frozen before. Now, I want to know, what do you think about that? Because I mean, that was just one thing that I couldn't, latch onto that. But I want to know what you think, given your experience.
Well, I mean,
if that were to have happened, wouldn't there be some kind of cellular damage?
If it was frozen, yes.
If it was like frozen, or even sometimes we keep deceased patients for weeks in the morgue in a cooler, right? Because the family can't get over from overseas or whatever. So, you can keep somebody at a fairly low temperature, and you wouldn't be getting a whole lot of decomposition at all, guys.
Right.
But that would be rather sophisticated. I see what happened as something much more juvenile and unsophisticated that happened. My thought. And then it got covered up by teens and by law enforcement.
So
I think
it wouldn't have had like crystallization on any of the, not that they would have told us anyway, but
no, because then if she's submerged in lake water at 47 degrees, you're not going to have crystallization.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? I don't believe that water was 47 degrees, because if you look at the
if you look at the temperature
Yeah,
of the
it couldn't
water
have
when
been.
AWP is diving, it's a lot higher than that.
So
I
this
think
was
at
also
nighttime,
August at 6,000 feet. So we're on the back end of summer. I mean, I work in the mountains quite a bit, and I'll tell you, them lakes do warm up. I'm not
Well,
expecting
especially
crazy hot, but like 47 degrees. Come on, guys.
that's
no,
what I
because
thought. I looked up and thought that they said it was, but I don't know. You know, you just don't know. I think that I don't know what happened in those 10 days. But somehow what I think is that either she overdosed or something happened, right? I do believe she was in the tailgate of that car strapped in, because you could see when AWP went down there was a strap from the car that went over the body, they said, and it was hanging out of the tailgate. So,
correct.
you cannot get to the back and get, strapped in by a rogue seatbelt, and then have it go outside the tailgate and close the door under the water. I mean, it just doesn't make it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah,
The
Can I ask
seatbelt
you
outside
another
of the
question
tailgate
about
is
that?
probably a baby anchor from the back seat.
that's exactly what I think they think it was. It's
Mhm.
an extra seatbelt, but that somebody pulled to the back to strap her in so that she wouldn't float away, and then
That's
that
very possible.
goes
So
outside the tailgate. They close the tailgate, and there's no
Mhm.
movement. I think she got pushed in. If you want my theory, but anyway,
can I ask you a question about the seatbelt thing and
yeah.
the because during the autopsy they did give the locations of lividity. So if we were to get AWP's underwater video that shows the position that her body was in the car, if she had been there for 2 weeks, shouldn't the position of her body in that car match the lividity?
Depends, because Lavidia Lavidia sounds like a girl's name. Lividity, Lavinia. No, lividity happens within a couple of hours, right, of death. So she could have been somewhere deceased. Then they placed her there, and the lividity would have already have happened, so to speak.
True, but what I'm asking is, if it happened like they are portraying it to have happened, her lividity would have sent from being underwater in the position she was in, correct?
That is true. Yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. I guess we'd have to look back. Yes, that is a good point. Yeah. So, I mean, what does it say, guys? Do we know? I don't remember.
I didn't hear what Vapor, what did you just say? And she said, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't hear you.
I said if the event of what happened to Kiely happened the way law enforcement said it happened, then she would be in that water for 2 weeks, and she wouldn't. If she'd have been there the way they said, then the lividity that was described in her autopsy should have to match the way her body was laying in that car.
Oh, gotcha.
So I see somebody in the chat, Prosser Gang, is saying we need to just move forward and stop recycling this info because it can't change anything. And I mean, I agree. But how does Prosser Gang at all propose to move forward? Is it through getting somebody like Vapor saying and trying to get legal action taken?
Well,
I don't know.
Prosser's saying that, they're all corrupt. Ellie's corrupt, everybody's corrupt. And the only way we're going to make changes is if we get get new blood in there. I think that's what Prosser's saying. And if we think about this now, Amy, I did a video yesterday, I think it was, on this case. So if you have not seen it, please check that out when you get a chance.
Yes, I will.
But there's a lot of high up power, money, wealth people in this area that if they had to put out all of this BS, right? If they had to put out an autopsy and they had to put out all of this stuff to keep us looking in a direction and in the wrong direction, not looking where we're supposed to be looking, it would be to protect somebody or a group of people that they didn't want that information released. You know, they didn't want the public to know any of that.
So
I mean, you might just go ahead.
CNY.
Yes.
Did I hear you say earlier that you wished you could just talk to Nick?
Yeah, I said I wish I could just talk to him myself instead of hearing hearsay about what
Okay, so
supposedly went on.
So I don't know what everybody believes, if they think he's full of shit, or if they think that video does or does not actually exist of him on that Saturday. But here's the thing: if the video does exist, that goes back to the day after, basically the very beginning, and it automatically shuts down everything law enforcement is saying. Correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so if somebody was to get that video, let's just say it does exist, and I don't have a reason to think Nick is lying, but you don't know anything in this case because it's so full of crap everywhere you turn.
Right.
But let's just say it does exist, and somebody got a hold of it. Now, what do you think the correct way would be to present that to the public?
Well,
You mean-
can I just say something? Oh.
No, go ahead.
No, I think that the issue here is that AAWP is defunct. And even before they disbanded, I believe that they were sort of legally muzzled from saying, because Doug Bishop initially said things like, if it goes one way or the other way, we're going to come out with more video.
That was Jared, actually. I think Jared's the one that said that during a live.
Yeah.
I think Doug also did, as I recall. But
Yeah.
regardless, I don't think that they were allowed to. I think that they were muzzled by AWP, the then AWP's legal team, or maybe even just Jared. I don't know. But now that they're
muzzled even by LE.
Or LE, and now that they've disbanded, I don't think even if you went to Doug or to Nick, I bet you they signed a non-disclosure and they're not allowed to talk. I just think
they have a no compete. I know something about that there was no competes involved.
But if we could get the footage from Nick G, like he's saying, like it didn't just say it exists and it's somewhere out there.
Right.
But I think it exists and it's probably proprietary. I think it's probably owned by Jared. That's what I think.
No,
No,
we're
not
not
his
talking
footage.
about
No,
AW.
They're talking about the AAA video.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, if that's out there somewhere and it can prove or debunk something, then
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the diving video. You meant like the
It's just
AAA.
my opinion, but I don't think they're ever going to release that because I think that's evidence
may
for
not
LE
release
that
it.
will not come out.
Yeah, I think somebody personally like kept the video. I mean, knowing the way these people work, used it as blackmail for something, or is going to use it as a, you know what I'm saying, as a bargaining chip for somebody to do whatever,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you guys were talking about Nick from AWP. I'm looking at chat now, and I understand you're talking about the AAA Nick. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Vapor was saying, that is if it's out there somewhere, like it didn't just go poof, it's on a cloud somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And if someone could get their hands on it, someone like a higher up, you know what I mean? Like then that's what he was asking. In which way do you then present that to the public? Because that video would prove or debunk a lot.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Vapor, I didn't kick you. I don't know what happened.
StreamYard does that sometimes, Vapor. I get kicked all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you all, where is your group headed?
We were just up here brainstorming together, honestly. Just
yeah, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
true crime BS session.
So the long wait was 270, by the way.
For Trinity's.
Yeah.
Bilaterally or just one side?
Combined.
Yeah. Well, no, each.
And that's what I recall, and that's why I thought same ME using the same template. And it's just, I mean, it just doesn't make sense that they're both in the 200s.
Mhm.
So I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I think what Vapor was saying earlier would be interesting if somebody could FOIA request Tylee's. We might be able to get a little more information.
Tyler Ryan.
Not Tylee. I'm sorry. Well, they also did have some leftover lungs, which is really interesting. I'd be curious after being in the fire, how much that weighed. I mean, gosh, but no, even the little boy, JJ, both of them, I would be very curious to see what their organ weights were.
There.
Welcome back, Vapor.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's StreamYard, dude. We all get kicked at some point.
Now,
I've never been kicked before.
People have gone back and forth. Some people say, "Oh, I've talked to Ellie and the case is still open." Other people are like, "Oh, I've talked to Ellie and the case is closed." Right? But after the autopsy came out, Ellie never came out and made a statement about anything. So my thing is they could keep this case open just so they don't have to release any information.
Right. That's right.
Which is just going to keep everybody distracted.
Yep.
Well, at some point, if anybody cares enough, somebody's going to get somebody high enough that's going to make them answer questions.
Right.
Yeah, but the problem is there's people involved that are damn near the top of the food chain.
Right.
But that's my thing too.
Yeah, if it gets shut down by something like that, I mean, it's pretty obvious that something's bullshit.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so when it comes to that point, just to give you the minimal amount of background from what I did without giving too much to say, I guess, we went all over the world and hunted down all the bad people. Now, I wasn't the person or on the team that searched out all the information to find the people, but I was on the team that would basically, once we had a pretty good idea where they were, we would go find them and I don't know, how do you say it? We were the find and punish group, kind of, if that makes any sense. But during debriefings, we did get a lot of insight on how they did find where these people were. And at some point, I don't know, there is a way to get all this information.
Hey, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt, but my dog just broke his chain. I got to run out and get him, so I'll be right back. You guys can keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a way to get all this information that we think might exist. If it does exist, there's a way to get it.
Yeah.
But it's not legal.
Right. Well, I'm not interested in anything illegal personally.
I understand.
I
understand
my
all that, and that's why I hesitate to bring it up because,
Right.
But at some point, somebody just might get pissed off enough to force their hand.
Yep. That'll be everything.
I agree. Melissa Morales and Wendy Farnetti both have made good points around, the fact that the parents, whether it's the mom or the bio dad, really have kind of turned their head on this and walked away. I do think that they, for whatever reason, why they did that, I don't know. But let's just put it this way. If I were the parent, I would be pushing so hard to find out what happened. And I do believe in this case, if the parents kept the feet to the fire, so to speak, of law enforcement, maybe we would have answers. But for some reason, either they've chosen to be muzzled or they have been muzzled by outside threats. I don't know.
Right.
But, it's really too bad because I think that Kiely's death represents sort of just one example of what's going on in that area of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe that might be cartel related?
I think that from what I understand, there is a lot of like cartel related.
Mm-hmm.
And we even saw that after that. Let me just, I'll put that on pause and I'll go back to, yes, there's a lot of cartel related marijuana growing and people are paying people off and because of water rights and whatnot. So I don't know what role the cartel has, but I do believe that the cartel has got its claws into that area of our nation. And also
that
actually
entire state.
the entire state, but I also think in I used to live in South Carolina, and so I followed the Murdaugh case, and I think that there is like some cartel stuff going. There definitely is some cartel stuff going on in the Carolinas. There's no doubt about that. And then I think that he may have been involved, and that's what some talk has to do with. So I think the cartel is scarily enough is got their themselves in the
Okay.
you guys, what I would put on pause was, do you all remember about I don't know, maybe months right after, I don't know if it was the Kiely piece or was it Bacchus, Trinity Bacchus, there were some Asian men, I think maybe Chinese, that were working on a marijuana farm out in California, that all of a sudden somebody came in and they murdered like 6 of them. Do you remember that?
I do remember hearing about that.
And it really got kind of swept under, but it's like, okay, so you've got marijuana growers and you've got Chinese nationals there, right? Doing the hard work, I supposedly, I don't know. And suddenly somebody comes in and just murders them all, but it's all not discussed in the media.
It's also why they use a lot of people that have immigration status questioning, stuff like that. They use undocumented people all the time because they can dispose of them. Yep.
Yeah, right. They're disposable. And I also think, and I'm not too popular on this front with this opinion, but I really feel that, or sense that, the Idaho 4 case is way beyond just some alleged incel that had a thing for some girl. I really think that there is a layer of drug trafficking involved in this whole story.
You think that has something to do with Bethany's 8-hour resistance to call 911?
I don't know. You see, and I'm not saying, they had
Bethany. I'm sorry, it's Dylan.
Dylan, a small amount of drugs or even a large amount doesn't take 8 hours, right? But that's part of what I'm saying. But I'm also saying the fact that boots on the ground, what would they have, 60 FBI on the ground within 24 to 48 hours, something like that. Like, where else, when you have, sometimes we have these mass murders happen. I've never heard of 60 FBI coming, right? And then they had other type of law enforcement. I can't remember their names, but remember the guys that were like, wouldn't look at the camera. I think one of them had a cowboy hat on. Marshals, U.S. Marshals, that's what they're called. I mean, there were so many layers of sophisticated, national and federal agents. I'm thinking, what? And then I also think it is really bizarre, some of the police cam on that Banfield, where there were clearly a police officer talking to an undercover saying, "Oh, you're here? Oh, yes, I'm here undercover. What are you doing undercover? And what's going on?" And I mean, they're just, guys, I just think, I don't know that part of Idaho, but from what I understand, there is a whole cartel and there is a trafficking thing. And there is there are of trafficking on college campuses. I have patients who have gone recently to different colleges, and they talk about the network of drug that traffics through fraternities on campus. So I don't know, man. I'm just throwing that out there.
that whole case, that Idaho case, is something else.
It's something else, but you know what, CNY, I agree. It's something else. Like, I know what you mean by like something else, but I think it isn't something else in the sense that I think there's a connection between all of this in this region and with this young generation somehow. I don't know.
So if the cartel is huge up in Idaho, as you think, do you think that they can coexist up there, being that big, with Idaho being such a big place for what is that? The government tried to label them as domestic terrorists, which is bullshit. But
help me.
With
You know
all the militias and stuff up there.
The militias and the something boys.
Proud
yeah,
Boys.
the Proud Boys, yeah.
I mean, do you think that with the militias being so prevalent in Idaho and up in that northern part up there, do you think that they're possibly working with cartel, or do you think that they?
Yeah, I think
Well,
that
the
all
Proud
of
Boys
these.
are led by the FBI, so.
Well, are they?
Yeah, the leader is CI.
Interesting. Now I'm gonna have to read up on that.
Yeah.
But I guess I find all of these groups that splinter off, whether you want to call it cartel, incel, Proud Boy, this, that.
Mm-hmm.
In the end of the day, it's like, I don't believe that there are only 6 degrees of separation, I guess I want to say, one from the other.
So
And if they're probably lying in bed with each other, I don't know, but that's what my life experience has shown, that even with the local gangs that I've seen. Listen, I mean, I was somewhere where, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I was somewhere working as a physician, and there was like a gang member, right, with this kid that brought it in, right? And the kid was really sick. But the gang member got out of control, and we had to call the police, right? It was really out of control. And the police officer walks in, and I'm like, the baby is needed to go by ambulance, 911, respiratory distress, right? But the gang member, that was the kid, the gang member is causing all hell and basically held hijacked in the waiting room. The police officer walks in and he tells me to shut up. He tells me to shut up. And he goes and starts fist bumping the Latin Kings dude. I'm thinking, are you freaking kidding me? And then I'm like, then they go, the baby is in the exam room, and the police officer and the Latin Kings dude are like high-fiving, hee ha ha. And I'm going in saying, excuse me, I got to get oxygen on the baby. I've got to get, meds intramuscularly. And the police officer says to me, shut up. I'm like,
yeah.
And finally I said, you know what? You shut up and I'm the doctor here, and you let me get in.
Right.
But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, and the audacity to have, we call law enforcement for help, and they're telling me to shut up, and the kid can't breathe.
Because they're controlled by the cartel.
Exacto. So, man, I'm telling you.
When we say the cartel, there's so many cartels, and some of them work together and some of them don't. So it's, and
I'm laughing about this. And I've never talked about that publicly, and I'll probably get in trouble. I mean, I'll probably have some gang members before tonight or something. But the bottom line is, can you imagine? I mean, it really felt like the life of a baby doesn't really matter because the relationship in this particular instance between, whatever it's called, the gang and LE, and their little high-fivey thing is more important.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yep. I think you're mostly okay with that story anyway, because you didn't really mention names and shit like that. So they wouldn't really have a reason unless it's begrudging, really. But
but in case something does happen, just make sure that my kids are taken care of, guys.
Yeah. I hate to do this to you guys, but we just had company show up. So I'm going to have to end this, but I want to thank you guys all so much for being here. Everybody, thank you for your opinions. Amy,
sorry I talked too much.
Yeah, thank you for stopping in. And
no, it's good insight.
Yeah, it is very good insight. I'm really glad you were able to come up here.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't hijack.
Oh, no, you're totally good.
Your convo.
Yeah, no, you're totally good. But yeah, we should definitely get together sometime, and you should, come back up and we can talk about some other cases and stuff that's going on.
Absolutely. And I know I owe Wisco Madman and Sifa and I were going to get together in True Crimes and Faith, and I've just been really busy. I'm sorry,
No,
guys.
I assumed you got really busy, and it's perfectly fine. Whenever you got time, we'll work something out.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, guys, thank you so much. And yeah, it was a pleasure to
Yeah, so thank you all. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Good night.
I hope you all have a good
course.
night.
You
Have
too.
a good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
All right, you guys. So I'm going to end this. Please hit the thumbs up. Please sub to the channel if you have not done so. Please consider donating to the family if you're donating to the channel if you can. We got a lot going on here. Yeah, Sefa, if you want to drop your guys' links in there, that'd be cool.
You just did.
Oh, okay. So I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. True Crime and
Appreciate
Faith,
you having us up.
Wisco, thank you guys for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course. Thank you.
Thank you for letting him drop our links too, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Everybody have a good night. I will talk to you guys all later.
All right. Good night.
Thank you. And White Rain. Yes, I will check that. Thank you.